Now at noon, Portland Public School kids going home 2 hours early today. It's the district's response to a weather forecast that only has temperatures getting into the upper 80s this afternoon. More on that decision and your full holiday weekend forecast coming up. But first.
Here at the Oregon State Capitol, state senators and representatives have reconvened for a special session around transportation funding. We'll tell you everything you need to know.
Also ahead, a fatal crash in Northeast Portland shut down Columbia Boulevard this morning. We'll have the latest details as police investigate. And later, a Friday getaway with Grant McComey. This week, our favorite outdoor reporter shows us a local rail line that's always on time. KGW News at noon starts right now. Transportation workers rallied outside the Capitol building in Salem this morning. Lawmakers are also there today to begin a special session aimed at passing a new transportation funding package in the state. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Drew Carney. The inability of lawmakers to agree on a transportation package earlier this year has kept state transportation workers in limbo, wondering if their jobs are going away. KGW reporter Thomas Schultz has been in Salem since early this morning. So Thomas, what's the latest?
Well, Drew, conversations are still ongoing right behind us in the Oregon State Capitol, and Republicans and Democrats are putting forward two very different proposals. One would give $6 billion nearly for transportation funding. The other would reallocate funds. All the while, ODOT workers watch closely as transportation workers rally outside the doors of the Oregon State Capitol, pushing for money.
We need to get this funding to keep ODOT functional.
Lawmakers push for a solution to preserve hundreds of ODOT jobs and ensure funding for road maintenance. Friday morning, Republicans announced a new proposal after lawmakers balked at an $11.7 billion price tag for a Democrat-led transportation bill this summer.
We can't afford another tax.
Republicans say their proposal prevents layoffs without raising taxes by changing state law to allow ODOT to tap into existing funds. Current rules restrict ODOT from changing where money is allocated.
There's not a single one of us in either Republican caucus that don't believe in the service that we're talking about. Democrats
are proposing a slimmed-down version of their transportation package, which failed last session. The proposal by Governor Tina Kotek is worth $5.8 billion, about half the cost of the original proposal.
Oregonians can't afford to let our roads crumble.
Democratic Senator Con Pham acknowledges the plan comes with taxes, namely a 6-cent gas tax increase, a $139 rise for title fees, and $42 uptick in registration fees. Still, she says it's worth it.
It just gets more expensive, kicking the can down the road and delaying.
And outside the Capitol,
save ODOT jobs!
We're just pushing for something.
ODOT workers like John Turner are less concerned about which deal is agreed to and more interested in one being reached.
The thought of not knowing what's ahead is terrifying.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
And Democratic lawmakers say that this special session is just a stopgap. More funding could come down the pike in later legislative sessions. Though as for this special session, it's too early to know, that is, when it'll wrap up. Though lawmakers tell us today, Wednesday is a day to watch. Drew?
All right, Thomas Schultz live for us all morning and still this afternoon in Salem. Thank you, Thomas. Meanwhile, here's another one of our top headlines today. Portland Public Schools are sending students home 2 hours early today because of the weather forecast. Now, the district says it made that decision after some classrooms reached unsafe temperatures yesterday afternoon, and some students and staff suffered heat-related illnesses. This weekend, the district says it's installing more fans and cooling units in Portland schools and will also adjust ventilation where possible. One more note. Albina, Head Start, and early childhood centers are also closing early today at 2 o'clock because of the heat. Now we bring in Chris McGinnis, and when we're talking heat today, Chris, we keep looking at the thermometer. So far, it's not very hot, and we only expect it to get into the upper 80s, correct?
Upper 80s, if that, at this point, yeah. So, Drew, here's what we're looking at right now with broken cloud cover over downtown. It's 67 degrees last check at PDX, and in case you're wondering, it's 8 degrees cooler right now at PDX than it was 24 hours ago. Now, a lot of that due to the cloud cover and low pressure offshore, which has brought in some slight cooling. Those clouds will retreat a bit, and so we are expecting temperatures to get into the mid to upper 80s today, but Intense heat is not in the forecast. It is not in the cards this weekend. Stand by, though, because there may be some heat and maybe some major heat coming our way again next week at our 7-day forecast, but that is beyond our weekend. So let's talk about the here and now. A live look from our Chinook Winds Casino Resort camera in Lincoln City. Broken cloud cover over the beach. It is dry there. It's clear over Mount Hood right now, where the temperature up at Timberline is 67. And elsewhere across the region, we're 70. That's one of the warmer spots in Beaverton, 74 in West Lynn, I should say. And then down to the south, where you saw Thomas Schultz reporting just a couple of minutes ago, 70 in our state capital. All right, the plan for today, cloud cover should slowly retreat. That low pressure, though, remains offshore, and that will keep the temperatures actually quite comfortable, I think, by late August standards here, not only today, but into the weekend. Here's the temperature trend over the next several hours, and you can see we peak out somewhere between about 85 and maybe 87 degrees this afternoon. More on your weekend and that possible shot of early September heat in my 7-day forecast. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Chris. In other news headlines this afternoon, Portland police say a person was hit and killed by a car early this morning on Northeast Columbia Boulevard. This happened around 4:45 this morning, right near the intersection of Northeast Columbia and MLK Jr. Boulevard. Police shut down Columbia in both directions for several hours between MLK and 11th Avenue. We talked to a man who lives nearby.
So I done seen this year probably 4 or 5 accidents here. And I also witnessed all the drag racing up under red lights. So I done seen a lot of wrecks right here in this area. So I think we need to look at everything again and take a different step and try to upgrade everything.
Investigators haven't said what caused the crash yet, but the driver involved stayed at the scene and is cooperating. Police have not released the name of the person who was hit and killed. Sheriff's deputies arrested a man in Washougal for allegedly threatening a road paving crew with an AR-style rifle. Investigators say he was wearing camouflage and a tactical vest when he told the crew to leave the area they were working in. That led to a SWAT standoff yesterday on Southeast 352nd in Washougal. After about 4 hours, deputies were able to arrest 37-year-old Justin Bryden, who's now facing assault charges. No one was hurt. All right, take a look at this chase that ends with this black SUV flipping over and landing upside down. You're going to see that happen right here. So this all happened last June, and we can tell you now in an update that the man behind the wheel has been sentenced to more than 20 years in prison for stealing that SUV, which happened to belong to Homeland Security. He also led police, obviously, on that chase. So Travis Greigla was found guilty of stealing the vehicle while federal agents were at his home serving a search warrant for child pornography. Court documents say the agents put him in the passenger seat that day, but he locked the doors before anyone else could get in, jumped in the driver's seat, and then took off. Of course, at this point, we know how that ended. Oregon Secretary of State Tobias Reed says the federal government is overstepping its bounds by demanding information about Oregon voters. 2 months ago, the U.S. Justice Department filed an official statement of interest into Oregon's voting system. They wanted to know what the Secretary of State's office is doing to keep ineligible voters from voting. More recently, the Justice Department asked for access to Oregon voter information again, but Secretary Reed rejected that request. In the latest episode of KGW Straight Talk, Stephanie Domerat asked the Secretary of State why he made that decision.
The federal government is exceeding their authority in this regard. They're entitled to public records like anyone else, and if they want to fill out the form and pay the fee, we'll provide them that public record. But it does not include social security numbers, dates of birth, signatures, driver's license information.
You can watch that conversation with Stephanie and Secretary of State Tobias Reed on the latest edition of Straight Talk. It airs this weekend, Saturday and Sunday night at 6:30, and then again on Monday night at 7 o'clock. It's also available anytime on our free TV app, KGW+.